And in 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, this is Pyramids here from GhostGamers.net, and you are in for Game 2 between Sangho and the real Slayers boxer himself, the Emperor Lim Yo Hwan, in the GomTV StarCraft 2 All-Stars. Here we go. Boxer is going to spawn as your very royal Terran, very blue Terran here in the right sort of hand position on Scrap Station. And his challenger is going to be Sangho here in the top left position on Scrap Station as your red Protoss. And we'll see how this game shapes out. Game 1, Sangho just took out Boxer with some flair. Boxer really had no answer to everything that Sangho threw at him. I think mainly because Sangho had those two observers in Boxer's space for such a long time. He adapted perfectly and he read Slayers boxers like a book, unfortunately for the Emperor there. So we'll see how these things play out here in Game 2. Boxer looks like he is ready to sort of form his wall a little bit here. Gonna scout his SCV out just a little bit, make sure Sangho isn't trying anything too crazy. But looks like he is not as he places his gateway down in his base. Gonna send his first probe now out to scout Boxer. Boxer is working on his wall here with his barracks now going down. And we're probably going to see this finally come down anytime now. There we go. Sangho is now past the loop and in the straight to Boxer's base. He's going to reach Boxer's base in just a second here. And going to be able to see Boxer isn't doing anything too crazy. He's going to high-five his SCV along the way. Going to move right in here and see standard play coming in from the Emperor here. Sangho now placing down his second pylon. Gateway now just going up. And looks like he's again going to go for that cybernetics core, first before any sort of zealots. And probe now leaving Boxer's base after seeing enough. Going to go probably back to the mineral line or take control of the Zelnaga tower. Now we see Boxer's SCV moving into Sangho's base. He really needs the information coming in to Game 2. Game 1, his lack of information just killed him, I think. But now he's going to get his SCV in and see very similar to what he saw in Game 1 coming in from Sangho. Second gas as well as the cybernetics core, and we do see the warp gate research coming in immediately, and Boxer is going to know that with that chrono boost there. First zealot now coming out for Sangho, going to be able to chase his SCV away from his base. Now we've got a tech lab finish for Boxer, going to go for the Marauder. So those things are definitely shaping up to be exactly like Game 1, at least here in the early game. And we'll see how the map plays out into difference, because the players' builds are definitely pretty much the same at this point. And gateway in the back once more for Sangho. As we see a sentry now being popped out. We saw exactly this from the last game. He had 4 sentries out, and look at this. Tit for tat, Boxer going for the same exact build, the early expansion with the switch into the reactor, but we don't see a third barracks just yet. We will see if Boxer decides to go for that. And here we go, robotics facility right on cue from Sangho, exactly like it was in Game 1. And there we go, third barracks now. We saw the same exact build on the tee for both players, and Boxer last game didn't come out ahead, so we'll see how things play out here on Scrap Station instead of Lost Temple. I don't know. We'll see though. This probe once again is going to move right past Boxer's troops. I'm getting a feeling of deja vu here, as the exact same thing happened again in Game 1. I sound like a broken record, but it's true. Probe sneak past Boxer's troops in both games. Now bunker coming in for the Emperor as well as the Nexus now from Sangho. A lot of sentries now being popped out as well. And what do we have here? Observer coming in for Sangho as well. So he is definitely feeling good about this build versus Terran. We'll see how Boxer can change up his play to adapt to this thing, because Sangho is trying the same thing here on the Emperor. Now we got a factory coming down for Slayers Boxer as he moves up the tech route. And on the other hand, Sangho, let's see what he is up to. First observer now out on the field, gonna move straight into the Boxer's base. 4 sentries and a single zealot again. Sangho gonna pick off that scouting SCV. Unfortunately for Boxer, not gonna be able to see what's up in Sangho's base, but he does spot Sangho's unit composition, so it wasn't completely in vain. Observer gonna move in. We'll see if Boxer can scout out the blur, and will he choose to waste a scan, or to use a scan, excuse me, to get rid of the observer. Doesn't look like it at this point. Again, observer gonna see everything, gonna see these 3 Raxes and the starport going down. He's gonna know what he's up against. I'm feeling very nervous for Boxer, because again, this is the same exact position he was in last game. Second observer now coming in for Sangho. He is gonna see everything that Boxer is up to. This observer gonna take a look at the troop position and movement from the Emperor, and the second observer in the base gonna see everything that Boxer is macroing. Again, Sangho is gonna be able to read Boxer here like a book. And we got Stargates coming down. Double, looks like gonna get double Stargates. Are we gonna get double Stargates here? Yep, double Stargates coming in from Sangho once again here on Scrap Station in game 2. We'll see how Boxer adapts to this. I think Boxer made a huge blunder last game initially when he engaged his Phoenixes not at a far range but at point blank with his Vikings, and that cost him his entire Viking force and pretty much the game. And looks like he's going to pump out 2 medevacs here first, instead of 2 Vikings as we saw him do last game. Let's see what intel Boxer has on his opponent. Let's see what his scans have gotten him. Not too much. He doesn't see even the robotics facility, and definitely does not see these 2 Stargates. And we'll see if Boxer can predict that Sangho is going the exact same build. He went last game. Boxer is now moving out with his small Medic Marine Marauder troop, and gonna try to take control of the Zelnaga Tower. Unfortunately for him, that probe that was controlling it has gotten to see exactly what Boxer has made. First Colossus now almost on the field, and here we go. Two Phoenixes gonna immediately pop out from those 2 Stargates. We got double Vikings in production for the Emperor here as they pop out. Sangho is gonna see that straight away with his 1 observer. And we'll see what Boxer chooses to do this time. Exact same setup as last game, as Boxer trying to take his 3rd expansion now. I'm gonna float this guy right up here to the 3rd expansion, try to take that. And we've got the first Colossus now out for Sangho. He's got a lot of sentries and a lot of zealots tank for that Colossus. Good support. Now scan coming in for the Emperor here. He's gonna see everything. Does he? Oh no, he just barely misses those Stargates there at the edge. But seeing this, maybe he can predict that because of the lack of stalkers and air support, he must be sensing out the Vikings sometime soon. Uh-oh, it looks like Boxer doesn't sense those Vikings, sense those Phoenixes as he moves his Vikings in. Very vulnerable position here. Where are Sangho's Phoenixes? There we go, 2 Phoenix now coming in, trying to pick off the Vikings. First Phoenix, looks like it's going to go down without picking up a Viking. Reinforcement Phoenix is now popping out from the Stargates. We'll see who wins this engagement. Looks like Boxer, it's a little bit too close to call. This is going to be very, very even, as both players are now down to 1 unit each. Boxer trying to micro this thing, but the sentries from the back are going to be able to clean up Boxer's Vikings, and he needs to run that before it gets picked off. And there we go, that Viking falls. So oh no, almost exactly the same as last game, losing a nice chunk of Viking forces from the Emperor. Looks like Boxer has now placed down a planetary fortress there as his 3rd base, unfortunately being scouted out by this observer immediately. Looks like Sangho wants to put on some pressure, going to break these rocks here in the middle and get quick access to the Boxer's base. This floating factory is going to be able to spot that out right away as the Phoenixes charge in and try to pick that off. More Vikings coming in for Boxer here, going to try to pick off those Phoenixes, and this is what I was talking about before. The range on those Vikings is definitely a scary sight for any air unit. And of course for those Colossus too. Boxer doesn't have a lot of troops on the field though. He's going to be very susceptible to those Colossus as Sangho makes more and more of those. Let's see if he has the Thermal Lances upgrade. Looks like he has finished his Thermal Lances upgrade for those Colossus, so that's going to pack a punch to Boxer's Bio Army. Boxer's got to be really careful. He's not sure what to do right here, patrolling back and forth doesn't really know how to get rid of this incoming force coming in from Sangho. Boxer totally spots Sangho's engagement though, so Sangho decides to back off. Doesn't want Boxer to be too ready for when he engages. There now are massing a lot of Phoenix now on the field, and third Colossus going down. And look at this, Sangho is going to sneak his gold expansion here in the bottom position on Scrap Station. These Phoenixes microing their way directly to Boxer base. Oh no, one gets picked off by these ridiculously long range Vikings. And looks like Boxer is getting all ready to completely just take out this army, and looks like Boxer is in a much better position than he was. He's got tons of Vikings, and definitely there's not enough Phoenixes out on the field for Sangho to deal with this. This is completely different from last game, and Boxer's moving in with the Vikings right now. Phoenix is getting right up in the nose of those Vikings. Boxer's got to be careful. This is what happened to him last game, and his Vikings got completely picked off. Huge engagement coming in the air from both players, and Boxer's losing heavy, and so is Sangho. So they both decide to just go back and treat their wounds before coming in. More Vikings. Wow, Boxer's got tons of Vikings here in production. He can pump 4 at a time, and he's definitely making the most use of it. He knows that if he can pick off those Colossus, he is going to be golden. His Medic Marine army is going to be unchallenged versus Sangho's just Zealots and Sentries. Those Colossus are the only thing that are keeping the Medic Marines at bay at this point, and Boxer knows it. That's why he's pumping out those Vikings like a madman. We got the third expansion from Sangho now going down, immediately queuing up all these probes, trying to get this thing up and running as fast as possible so he can pump out even more Colossus and even more Phoenixes there. Excuse me. He knows that if he can pick off those Vikings, his Colossus are going to be unchallenged, and this is next. Oh no! Phoenix is getting caught in the middle. Oh my gosh. The Phoenixes are going to get wiped out by this massive force of Vikings here, and look at this. Sangho is just running for his life. Boxer's going to scout that probe transfer, unfortunately for Sangho, immediately sending a task group of Marines down, and look at this. Vikings coming in unfettered against all of Sangho's units, and he's completely even ignoring those sentries as he just goes to work on the Colossus. One Colossus is going to fall. Two Colossus about to fall. Okay, all the Colossus are pretty much going to fall at this point, as Boxer just ignoring the Stalker fire from Sangho. His Ninja Tasker Marines coming in, taking down a lot of probes. It looks like, never mind. The probes are not going to be able to handle the Marines on their own, as Boxer goes to work on this Nexus here. Sangho's unit is, Sangho's army is just getting whittled down by the second as the Emperor moves up into the Protoss player's base, getting a scan to lead the way, not deciding to engage at this point. He's probably going to choose to defend his base here, as this floating factory is going to scout Sangho, moving right up into Boxer's base. But look, Boxer is totally ready for a huge flank right now. The Protoss forces are going to be massively flanked by just Medic Marines, SCVs from both sides, and there's nowhere to run for these Stalkers, Sentries, and Zealots as they just wait to get wiped out by these Marauders, Marines, Medivacs, Vikings, just siege tank, not siege tanks, SCVs, I mean just everything coming in for both sides. And there we go, Sangho's forces are wiped out, and he knows it's GG, calling it like it is. Good game.